Hey everybody, I am so excited to see you here tonight. I am thrilled to be back in the studio bringing you bright spots. I have missed you all. It has been an incredible summer, and I hope that you have had a wonderful summer as well. I've got so much planned for this, the third season of Bright Spots, some wonderful guests that I can't wait to share with you. And I'm just going to give you a little peek at what's coming up. So this month, we have, of course, Holly Lewis tonight that I can't wait to introduce to you. Next week, we have Philip Carl, who's a local businessman who's going to share with us his secrets to business. We have all the way from Australia, I believe, Dr. Patricia Talbot. I want you to tune in to hear Dr. Patricia Talbot. She's got some incredible advice, homegrown solutions for a patchwork world. I just love that. And then Baden Woodford is joining us again on September 29th to get us up to date on what is going on in his world now that he is a senior in high school at St. Clairsville. I know you can't wait to hear from him. In October, we have Georgiana Ligouri. She's from New York, and she's going to share some tidbits of wisdom with us. We have Paula Kramer. Paula will be joining us on October 13th, and that will be a remote broadcast. I will actually be in North Carolina on the 13th, so I'll be broadcasting from Lake Waccamaw. And Denise Thomas on October the 20th. And Janine Rivers Coburn on the 27th. And then in November, wrong one. In November, we have Charmaine Hammond, and Charmaine is a remarkable woman. I can't wait to share with you all that she is doing. She has a new movie out that I know you're going to want to see, and just great things happening with Charmaine. We have, she's coming actually on December 3rd, or November 3rd, sorry about that, November 3rd. November the 10th is Michelle St. Jane, and Michelle is in Bermuda. And Michelle has some exciting news about Bermuda and how it's opening up for business down there. And we really want to share with you what's going on down there in Bermuda. November 17th, Natasha Williams. Natasha was part of our panel along with Paula Kramer back in May. And Natasha has an incredible travel business that I just cannot wait for her to share with us her exciting endeavors and all the travels that she's doing. And we'll round out this season on December the 1st with Kim Combs. And Kim's business is called Bright Spots. It's just crazy, right? She has a business called Bright Spots, and it was born out of the journey of her mom through cancer. And I just can't wait for you to hear her story and hear what she's doing around Bright Spots. So great guests on the docket for this year. And guys, this year, I'm really focusing on taking care of me. And I was talking with tonight and really focusing on not just that I have busy work to do, because sometimes we get so caught up in what we're doing that we forget to have fun doing it. And I started Bright Spots as a way to connect with people who are doing great things, but I also started it to have a little bit of fun and connect with people that I might not otherwise connect with. And it is a lot of fun. When it's not fun anymore, I won't be doing it anymore. So as long as people have a story to tell, and as long as this is fun in the studio, then I will keep doing this. And I hope that you'll keep joining us. And I hope that it's fun for you as well. This is a labor of love for me. It truly is. And nothing brings me more joy than connecting like-minded people. And this is just one way that we do that. So without further ado, I really want to share with you our guest for tonight, which is Holly Lewis. Holly has been on our show before. She was one of our guests last year. And Holly has spent the last 23 years building and enhancing software programs and services for major healthcare companies. When she figured out that our brains work exactly like software programs, her mind was blown. It's totally possible to work with your default programming and get the results you want in your life, and she can show you how. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please make welcome in the studio, Miss Holly Lewis. Hi, Holly. Welcome back. It is so good to have you here again.
I am super excited to be back. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, you've had a life change, a real life moment this year. Tell us a little bit about that. What happened this year that really is a milestone?
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I planned to retire on July 14th of 2021, which just happened to be my 55th birthday. And I did that on July 14th of 2021. It was my last full-time corporate America day.
Well, congratulations. How does that feel?
It's amazing. Amazing. The best part of it is that I no longer have to set an alarm clock. And that has been glorious. Just glorious.
So tell me what changed in your life, in your routine, besides the not setting an alarm clock. What is something you can share with us that you've done for yourself that has really changed and improved your life in retirement?
Yeah, I actually think it changed before I retired. I started probably about 2 years ago. I started implementing definitely some methods of caring for myself and for replenishing the energy that I was using every single day. Because as I mentioned, like in the pre-show, burnout is caused by using up your energy and not replacing it. And so I really had to figure out ways to start every single day replenishing my energy. And I did that in a couple of different ways. One, I started a morning routine where I meditated every single morning for 10 minutes. I use the Daily Calm app. I just do 10 minutes of meditation. Then I also started journaling in the morning once I got really good at the meditation for just 10 minutes, trying to get stuff out of my brain so that I could examine, what was I thinking? How was I feeling? Did I want to change anything about the way I was thinking or whatever for the day? The other thing that I implemented was a minimum baseline of movement for myself every day. So at the beginning, I had a minimum baseline of 10 minutes of walking, no matter what, whether I was sick or not. I mean, if I was in the hospital, that'd be one thing, but just 10 minutes. And if I did more than that, great. Well, I basically worked my way up to an hour walk every single day. And those just couple of practices that I started really, really small with like 5 minutes have made such a significant difference in my life, in my health, in my mental health, and also in the way that I look at the world.
Wow, that's great. And for those of you watching who are thinking about starting a daily routine, exactly what Holly said, start small. You don't have to get up in the morning and run a 5K. You can start with 10 minutes a day, start with 5 minutes a day, whatever. And I'm talking to myself here, I'm the first person to say, I don't feel like walking today, you get up in the morning with every intention of getting on the treadmill or walking outside. And I'm the first one. I admit it. I'm the first one to say, not today. I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do it after work. And then you come home after work and you're too tired, or you've got to get dinner, or, there's a good TV show program on, so you want to do that. And you think it's going to take too long to go do a 5-minute walk. But it really does have such incredible health benefits if we can just just push ourselves to start there, start with those 5 or 10 minutes.
And you got to remember that your brain is motivated by staying safe. Things need to be easy and things need to be pleasurable, right? That's the way that our brains, that's the motivational triad. And so if it's not fun for you, it better be easy. So it either needs to be fun or easy. So just remember that. Either make it fun or make it really, really easy so that it's like, okay, I could just stand up and go for a walk around my house and that'll be 5 minutes.
Yeah, really. So folks, you better have a paper and pencil or pen ready for taking notes today, because Holly's got some real tidbits of wisdom that you're going to want to write down. So Holly, we talked a little bit off camera about burnout. So before you talk about the ways to combat burnout, Would you explain to us what exactly is burnout? We hear that term a lot, and to some of us, it might mean something different. So share with us what you believe burnout is.
So burnout is a condition basically of, and there's all kinds of different symptoms that you can actually have. But for me, some of the more common symptoms are apathy, meaning that you don't really care too much about things, depression, exhaustion, not being able to sleep correctly, just having very, very high levels of pressure, chronic stress all of the time, um, not being able to focus is a big sign of burnout. Now, each and every one of us experiences some of these feelings every day. It's when it's in, strung together where you have more days that are like that than there are days that you're feeling joyful or energetic or good. So, life is 50-50. It is not supposed to be like a joy fest all of the time. That is not the human experience. The human experience is 50-50. 50% good, 50% bad. But when it's 90% bad, there's probably a burnout issue.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about the symptoms of burnout. Is there a cure?
There is actually. And so I've been burned out several times in my career where, I was working a lot and I was so hyper focused on achievement that I completely ignored my self-care. And it's interesting that you opened up with that, but I completely ignored that stuff. I was able to put my tiredness or my not feeling good or whatever in a box over here and completely ignore that. I was able, when I tell people about this, it's like I was a jockey sitting on a thoroughbred, just whipping the thoroughbred. Go, 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 go. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Well, eventually my mind and my body said, what in the heck are we doing here? We can't sustain this anymore. And that's when I would get into this, periods of exhaustion and just, very apathetic, not caring about what was going on, just needing a break kind of deal. And for me, it was the realization that there has to be a balance between the energy that you're expending and the energy that you're replenishing in yourself. And I never ever looked at productivity or achievement as having to do with resting or relaxing. When I thought productivity, I did not think resting. and and so I had to reframe how I thought about productivity in order to get to a place where I realized that resting is sometimes the most productive thing you can do.
Right, right. So when we talk about burnout and we talk about the causes of burnout, do we put a lot on ourselves that create that burnout, or do you think it's external, or is it a combination of both?
So a lot of people are probably thinking that it's your circumstances in your life that causes burnout, that causes stress, that causes pressure. It's not. It's actually how you think about your circumstances. So, for example, you might have a boss that is a little bit challenging, right? And how you think about that boss is actually causing how you feel. You can choose to think whatever you want. So a lot of people might be saying, yeah, but it's true. So here's the thing. Your brain does not care whether things are true or not. It only cares if it's been repeated. And so if you learn something as a child or in your young adulthood that was like repeated. So for example, in my case, I was taught basically as a child that you work from the time you wake up in the morning until the time you go to bed.
Wow.
That's what it means to be productive and achieve. And that achievement is the queen of all things. So I was taught that as a child. And so I didn't even realize that I was like reading emails from the moment I woke up in the morning until the time I went to bed. If you would have asked me, Holly, are you working from the time that you wake up in the morning until the time you go to bed? I would have said no. But that's absolutely what I was doing.
Gotcha.
Right? I was reading emails, which was work. First thing in the morning, setting my mind to work on these problems. So I was basically working the whole entire day that I was awake without even realizing it. So a lot of it has to do with just what we're thinking about things. And that's the great thing about having a coach. A coach can help you find those things that you're believing, that story that you're believing that might not necessarily be serving you.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it gives you a lot to think about. Folks, if you are just tuning in, our guest tonight is Coach Holly Lewis, and she's talking with us about burnout and stress. We'd love for you to ask some questions in the comments below if you've got questions about how to manage your stress or your burnout. Holly would love to answer those questions.
Absolutely.
Holly has a website, and we're going to put that up on the screen now so that you can see it. And you can visit Holly here at mposwarm.com. And I'll share that a little bit so that you can see the site. But I'm really excited to share with you something else that Holly is doing online, which is a Facebook coaching group. And let's get your website up first so we can share with everyone what that looks like. This is Holly's website. And she's got some courses on here. She's got a free course. Take control of your calendar in 3 easy steps. I may need that course. I might have to check that one out, Holly.
It's a good one. It's
All
not
right.
what you think either, because believe it or not, I do not subscribe to most time management systems.
Okay. And you can see her blog here. You can see lots of information here for Holly. And then her Facebook group. Tell us the name of the Facebook group while I go find it here.
Okay. So the Facebook group is called the Burned Out Overachievers Recovery Lounge. And basically, it's for anyone who, recognizes the fact that they're an overachiever. And you don't have to be told who you are. Trust me, you know who you are. But basically, I put videos in here every single day, except for Saturdays. And I do a class in here usually on Wednesdays or Thursdays. Today, I did a class on how to conquer overwhelm. And so there's 3 pretty easy steps for learning how to conquer overwhelm so that you don't have to go there. Because believe it or not, overwhelm is one of those self-sustaining feedback loops that actually sucks the energy right out of you. So there is no good result that ever comes from being overwhelmed. It does not help you ever. It just uses up brain energy and leaves you exhausted. So learning how to get that under control is really, really important.
So folks, you want to check this Facebook page out, this Facebook group, and you can find it by searching Burned Out Overachievers Recovery Lounge. If you'd like to comment below, I'm sure that Holly would be willing to send you an invitation to join the group, or I'm happy to also invite you to join the group. There, as you saw, there are a whole library of videos of Holly coaching. And this is all free. Holly does this absolutely free. Her heart is to help people live fulfilling lives without stress and overwhelm. So
Yeah.
you really want to check this out, guys. Check out her website. Check out her Facebook group, her Facebook page, which is Holly Lewis Coaching. And you can connect with Holly. I've known Holly for a long time. We won't say how long, right, Holly? And this is incredible. If you want to really learn about how to stop beating yourself up, basically, and really start enjoying life, because a lot of what you teach has to do with the story we tell ourselves, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes that's the root cause of a lot of our stress and anxiety and overwhelm.
Yeah, for definite sure, especially for overachievers, right? We tell ourselves that achievement, the next achievement and the next achievement and the next achievement is really what makes us good enough. And we learned that as a child, right? Kind of probably by happenstance. When you got really good grades or you won awards or whatever as a child, you got praised and the behavior was reinforced basically by your parents. And so that reinforcement of all of that might have told your young brain a story that it's really, really good to achieve at all costs. And I know for me, that was definitely the story that I learned when I was a kid, that achievement is the end all be all. That's how you're enough. But it went a little south on me when I didn't realize that I needed to spend time celebrating the achievements that I had in my life instead of just moving on to the next one immediately. That's how you know you're an overachiever. If it's like next, 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 then you definitely have a story about achievement and how that affects your self-worth.
So Holly, you talked a little bit about you were taught to work from the time you got up to the time you went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you carried that into the military, and of course the military teaches much of the same thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's very regimented, very focused.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you left the military and went into the corporate world, again, you're still in that same mode of go, 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 go.
Yeah.
And if you look back over your life and you look at all of the achievements, because you're a very successful woman, where do you find that point where you said, wait a second, I'm not really enjoying my life. I'm kind of just living to work instead of working to live. When did you reach that point?
Yeah, so for me, it was about 3 years ago, and it actually was a health scare, and I started having chest pains, and like they weren't like major chest pains, but they were like twinges and stuff, and I don't know if you know this story, Lori, but my dad died very young. He died at 58 from a heart attack, and he had his first heart attack in his 30s, right? And so I was really super concerned, and that's when I really started reflecting on, what am I doing to myself? I mean, I was a smoker. I was basically using nicotine to relieve stress, right? Is what I was doing. I was also using food to relieve stress, to try and relieve some of the pressure that I had put myself under for so long to achieve, and kind of just be this machine, right? That could achieve anything. And I really had to take a hard look at what am I doing here? And like I said, I got a coach at that point, and it was actually a weight loss coach, but she was amazing and really taught me how my brain worked, and a model that I could use to like figure out what was happening in terms of what I was thinking and feeling and the things that I was doing, and it changed my life. Like I said, I lost 40 pounds, I quit smoking. I went back to school to become a coach. I completely changed my career and retired from my corporate job. Just all kinds of amazing things that I wouldn't have believed you 3 years ago if you would have said, hey, Holly, this is going to happen in the next 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And so is that when you got into coaching yourself, was
It was, yeah.
after you experienced the value
Mm-hmm.
of having a coach?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I often talk to people, and I have a wellness coach,
Mm-hmm.
and I often talk to people who say, oh, I can't afford that. Why would I
can't
pay
afford not
someone?
to.
Exactly.
That's just my opinion. I mean, you would spend that kind of money on a vacation that will, relieve your stress for a week and maybe a week after you come back.
Right.
Where a coach could help you with tools so that you would never feel like that again.
Right. Right. That's exactly how I feel as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford not to.
Right.
It makes a huge difference to be able to basically have someone, one, tell you you're not crazy,
Mm-hmm.
that everything you're feeling is normal, and you're not the only one that has gone through it and is going through it,
mm-hmm.
but that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the thing that I find most that I love about my coach is she sees things that I would never see.
Right.
She picks up on things like, what'd you just say? Right. And I'll be like, oh, that's how we found my story of, thinking that you had to work from the time you woke up until you went to bed. Right. Or that, relaxing was being lazy. I had a real big story around being lazy. And, I could totally see why my dad grew up on a farm, right? And from the time they woke up in the morning until they went to bed, they were working, right? And you didn't get to relax back then. So he definitely had a story about, relaxing is lazy. And he passed that on to my brother and I.
Yeah, I can see how that would happen. Now, we grew up in an era where work was very important.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of emphasis put on work.
Yes.
And I may not have been taught to work from the time I got up to the time I went to bed, but I was taught to be purposeful in everything that I did.
Yes.
There had to be purpose. There had to be a reason that you were doing something. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was military, and then he worked, and then he went into the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
So, always working. Where my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but she was never idle.
Right. She was always working too. Yeah.
She was always working too, right?
Mm-hmm.
With 4 kids, she always had a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I think today, not that kids today are lazy. I don't mean that, but I do think that some of the kids in the workforce, the millennials, and even a generation past that, are more focused on well-being.
Yes.
They were taught well-being, mm-hmm. where we were not always taught well-being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I see it in my kids, right, who are millennials, and they are definitely. I know at one point we were upset because our daughter took the day off because she had a headache, right? And we're like, what are you even talking about? Right? Why would you take the day off because you had a headache, right? And we just could not understand. But there is a totally different mindset around your health and well-being, I think, for the younger generation, which I don't think is a bad thing, because hopefully they won't get to be a 52-year-old woman with chest pains, right? Hopefully they'll be able to, work through their anxiety and that kind of thing so that they're at a better place. That's where I do see, though, they're more concerned about their well-being, but there's a lot more anxiousness and overwhelm that I have seen in so many of my, group members and just my kids and their friends and just people all around. It just seems like anxiety and overwhelm are so much more prevalent these days than they were like when we were kids, right? And
Yeah.
I think that has to do with the abundance of choices.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of choices that we have now. I mean, think about it. When we were kids, there was probably two kinds of bread in the store, wheat
Right.
and white.
Right.
Now there's a whole damn row.
Right.
Right? And so there you got to get really, really good at making decisions, I think, in this day and age with all of the information and choices and all the things that we have going on. I think being a decision-making ninja is really, really important.
Yeah, I can see that. And again, I think that the younger generation could benefit from coaching as well.
Oh,
And I think
absolutely.
they're more likely to engage a coach than even people in our generation. It's foreign to us, but it's not to these kids.
Right.
So hopefully before they get to the overwhelm and the burnout, they will engage someone like you, a coach that can help them navigate through that. I think the whole pandemic has brought with it a new set of overwhelm and a new set of anxiety and stress. So give us 3 steps in a nutshell how we can decrease the stress in our life and not get so caught up in what's going on.
Sure. So I'll give you the 3 steps that I actually taught today. And if you want to go join the group and watch the video, that'd be awesome too. But step number 1, stop talking about your life and your day like it's a hopeless show. Just stop doing it. Don't say, this is too much for me. I can't figure this out. I'm so overwhelmed. Stop. Say, I'm really good at figuring things out and I'm going to figure this out. So what if it's hard? So that's step number 1, is to just realize how you're talking about your life and talk about it in a more positive way. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, learn how to make decisions like a ninja. And what I mean by that is to really look at your decisions and ask yourself one very important question to ask yourself when you're making a decision is, what I choose going to matter 5 years from now? If the answer is no, just pick something. There is no right answer. There's only the right answer for you with the data that you have available to you to make a decision. That's it. And so many people agonize over simple little decisions. It uses up so much of your brain power and your energy. It just wears you out. So just make a decision. Whatever comes to mind, just make it. If it turns out that it was a bad decision, make a different decision. It doesn't have to be a big deal. Now, yeah, there are some decisions in life like, should I move to California or should I quit my job, that take a little bit more, pros and cons and, worst case, best case scenario kind of introspection. But we make 32,000 decisions a day. They don't have to be that complicated. Just make them. And as many decisions as you possibly can make ahead of time, do it. Like if you can decide, I decide every single morning what I'm going to eat all day. I just decide. And then I just eat it so that I don't have to think about it. Now, for some people, you might be thinking, oh my God, that's awful. That's so restricting. No, it's really not. Because I don't restrict what I eat. I just decide what I'm eating. And a lot of people might be thinking, well, what about spontaneity? What about all those things? I don't need that. Neither do you. Just make as many decisions ahead of time as you possibly can and become very, very good at making decisions. And for God's sake, don't second guess yourself. We spend so much energy after we've made a decision. Oh, did I do that right? I should have thought about this. I should have done this. I should have done this. No, don't allow your brain to do that to yourself. Just say, no, we made a decision. This is where we're going. And then number 3, constrain. As much as you can constrain your choices, the better off you'll be. And what I mean by that is, instead of having a to-do list, just decide every morning, these are the 3 things I want to get done today. I'm a big believer in 3 things because your working memory can only hold 3 to 5 things. It's not productive to have a list of more than 5 things. It's just going to overwhelm your brain. So what are the 3 things you're going to get done today? If you get them done and you have more energy, do another one. You get to decide. There are no rules. Okay, so that's one thing. Number 2, stop watching the news. I know that this is probably going to be shocking for most people. 2 years ago, I stopped watching television. And it was the best thing I ever did, because your brain is always listening. And your brain's job is to figure out problems. So if you hear problems, no matter if they're yours or not, your brain's going to try and figure out how to solve it. And it's going to use energy to do that, whether it's your problem or not. So if you're listening to the news or listening to TV, listening whatever, and it's a problem, your brain's going to be trying to solve the problem. So definitely try and restrict how much you're listening to other people's thoughts, and just listen to your own. They're pretty cool.
Holly, that's fabulous. And folks, if you want more of Holly Lewis, and I'm sure you do, you can log on to her website at nposwarm.com. And you can also join her Facebook group, Burned Out Overachievers Recovery Group. You want to search that on Facebook, connect with me, connect with Holly. We'll invite you to the group. She's got a whole library of videos in there that can teach you even more about taking control of your life, getting rid of the stress, getting rid of the anxiety, especially if you're an overachiever. But even if you don't consider yourself an overachiever, there are some morsels that can help all of us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we don't think we're an overachiever, and we really are still, the hamster in the wheel, going. So yeah. Check it out. Holly, thank you so much for being our first guest of season 3 and kicking off the season in such an incredible way. I've totally enjoyed our conversation, and I am definitely going to engage in the group. I cannot wait to hear some of your other, some people call me an overachiever. So
I can see that.
So I think I could probably benefit from some of your help. So I am definitely going to be one of your newest fans. So thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that you will tune into some of our future shows and come back and join us again soon.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Holly. So folks, that's it. It is a wrap, right? This is season 1 or Episode 1 of season 3 is now complete. Please come back next week and join me as Philip Carl will be in the studio. He is the owner of Warwood Media. He's going to talk a little bit about how he has grown his business here locally, and I just think you're going to love him. I've been working with Philip on a couple of projects, and I just think that he's going to be exciting to have in the studio, and you're going to love getting to know Philip. So I hope you'll join me next week, same time, Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, right here, wherever you're tuning in from. We are on all your social media channels, and it's been exciting to be back in the studio with you. And until next week, I'll see you later. Bye.